What's happening, people? We're back. It's been a while. I don't know. I just don't do fight cards as much as I used to, so maybe that'll change. I don't know, but just felt like doing one tonight, so we got on tap tonight a little bit of this morning's fight card with it's in Macau, China. It was UFC on Fuel 6. I'm gonna run down that a little bit. Just it's the last three fights or so that went on. Also gonna be running down the last Strikeforce card, just a look, kind of a look ahead, I guess. I'll do an official card on it maybe when I get to it in January. It's going on January 12th next year. But and that's said to be Strikeforce last night of fights, man. So just some news off the top of my head. Supposedly Dana White's been talking about how it's official. He's gonna bring in a women's division. So what's her face? Rousey's already been signed. So I would bet in some probably within a year. You know, he's probably going to have a fight here, a fight there. You know, be mixed in with the normal fights. Kind of how they did it at Strikeforce, or how they've started doing it in Bellator. But they'll start slow with the women's division. You know, bring in a couple of ladies that you know they're not totally well known, but at least kind of sort them out a bit. You know, and then they're going to end up buying. This is just just a hypothesis. You know what I mean? A hunch. I think they're going to end up buying, was that Invicta FC with all women? I bet you they're going to end up buying that within the next year. Excuse me, bringing them all over, because I don't know all the investors that are involved in that, but it's by far it's not out of UFC's league to buy it. You know what I mean? I think it's just inevitable. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? With as big as UFC's gotten over the last 10 years. But just to kick it off, man, let's run down the UFC on Fuel TV 6. A little post-fight action. It is playing, a little spoiler alert if you guys want to skip ahead. It is playing tonight, so if you haven't seen it, I don't even know if the video will be up in time. But this could be way late, way later in the night. But it is replaying 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think. So if you don't want to get a spoiler, you want to go ahead and check it out tonight on Fuel. It will be replayed, so skip ahead or whatever and go to the other stuff on this video where Paulo Thiago taking on Dun Hyun Kim. Paulo Thiago just really never even was able to really get started, man. It was just kind of one of them things where Kim used wrestling, man. He used his wrestling, minimal strikes, man. They really weren't on the feet very much. You know, your typical fan might say it was a whatever, rug and hug or whatever, and I don't call it that. I mean, he hands down beat him, really. I mean, Paul's a good submission guy, good with pretty good stand-up, but he just got outworked, man, just outworked. Thiago Silva taking on Stanislav Netkov. Netkov, I was hoping coming into this would have. He comes in with the big overhand right a lot, and he did it just too much. You know, I mean, it was almost like, hey, you're basically telegraphing this because you're doing it every time. You know, and I've liked some of his past fights because he's just a knockout monster, man. I mean, he's just, coming in this fight, I believe he was undefeated. He's 12-0 coming into this fight. Second round, he knocks Thiago on his ass. I mean, nice overhand right. Catches, he'll pretty much catch anybody at it sooner or later because he's the only punch he throws. No, not really. I mean, he's a wild striking swinger, but arm triangle choke by Thiago Silva, and I mean it was from way out left field, man. I didn't expect that at all. You know what I mean? He's usually a stand and bang kind of guy. I think he wanted to get in there and finally, show, hey, I'm improving my game. Hopefully he doesn't test positive for PEDs or TRTs or grilled cheese or whatever. Anyway, man, there's so many names for all that shit, roids, whatever. But nice win for Thiago Silva, man. Big. I mean, he really needed this because the only way for him to really start getting recognized and improving, you know what I mean? It's good for him morality-wise, you know what I mean? It's good for him to get back into training knowing that, I'm coming off a win, things are good, He's just naturally improving, rather than cheating, So tough night for Nedkoff, but it's bound to happen. It's going to happen sooner or later, man. He suffered his first loss after 12-0. Can't and he suffered a loss to a guy that's good, man. The guy that's been in the game, you know what I mean, and he's got a good record, 15-3. So a little Bud Light action. So yeah, it's like I said, good win for Thiago Silva. Tough night for Nedkoff, but hey, man, he'll be back. That guy will be back, man. I think if he improves his technique, his striking technique, rather than because he's got the power, man. The power's there. He can knock anybody out. He just improves the technique, I guess his way of swinging. You know what I mean? Work with angles a little bit more, because I mean he's right in front of you. Knock your stinking teeth out. Main event: Kung Lee taking on Rich Franklin, man. I was kind of excited for this fight, and I thought the end result of this fight could have went either way. Because I mean we've seen Kung Lee knocked out, we've seen Rich Franklin knocked out. Yeah, it all happened. Everything went down in round one, man. Totally. Kung Lee goes in there. Wasn't really a ton of exchanges, but there was a couple good exchanges, you know, where Franklin was laying a little bit, Kung Lee was laying a little bit, you know. Nothing too crazy. And then Rich just starting to get his feet wet, kind of get into things a little bit. And starts, you know, throws a couple leg kicks, a couple low kicks. Kung Lee out of left field, man. I didn't expect this because you always see Kung Lee with flashy kicks and whatnot. I think maybe he's shying away from that a little bit towards the ending of his career. You know what I mean? How much farther is he going to go on? You never know. 40 years old in this fight. Out of left field, like I said, man. And it's not that he's not known for his punches. I mean, he's a great puncher, but he's more known for his kicks. Out of left field comes a big right hand. Rich throws a kick. He kind of ignores the kick, more or less, and just catches Rich flush. I mean, it was like right here. You know, a little bit of the ear to fuck with your equilibrium. Right in the jaw. You know what I mean? Just enough there to knock your block off, and then the neck. I mean, it was a sick-ass flush punch. Rich went down. It was tough to watch, man, because, I mean, I'm a fan of Rich. I mean, he's had a great career. I like the guy. Anybody that has seen interviews with him, he's a good, personable guy. He's good, you know, good guy, whatever. But great win for Kung Lee, man. And I think Kung Lee should definitely stick with what he's doing because, you know, a Kung Lee maybe a year and a half ago or something, maybe a little too active. You know what I mean? Throwing wild kicks and stuff. Any wrestler's just going to grab a leg and take you down. I mean, so I think maybe with Kung Lee right now, maybe less is more. Could be a way of looking at it. Less is more because he's got just dynamic power. Dynamite in his hands and legs. So, I mean, Strikeforce's last card, which is January 12th, I believe. Really cool card. I mean, it's a good way for Strikeforce to go out on a big note. We got Ryan Couture coming in with against KJ Nunes. Ryan Couture, much less experienced, but he's got a little bit of different skill set. You know what I mean? If KJ Nunes doesn't really try to wrestle a little bit, or try to take him try to take Ryan out of his wrestling submission game, he could run into a real hard problem, just get taken down and submitted. But we have seen a little bit better of a KJ New when it comes to that, so hopefully that'll be a pretty good fight. Daniel Cormier, the winner of the Strikeforce heavyweight tournament, you know, he came in because Overeem had to pull out, so he came in place of Overeem, took over the whole damn thing. Guys, next big thing, man. I mean, he's already big, and he gets into he's going to get in the UFC. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's going to get into the UFC, and he's going to carve out a big part of the division, if not all of it. Light heavyweight or heavyweight, you know, because he's talked about going down to light heavyweight, so we'll see, man. But he's taking on Dion Starring. I don't know anything about Dion Starring. My apologies. I've never even heard of the guy. If they've been a good fighter on any of those, you know, promotions, which, you know, there's a ton of promotions out there, man. I don't know them all. There's ones overseas that I don't know anything about, you know. But I enjoy it, man. I love talking about it. Love discussing it. Cormier, my first guess is Cormier is gonna probably take this by storm because he was calling out a Pat Barry, which I thought was kind of ironic because I right off the top of my head I would think he'd kill Pat Barry. I mean, pretty quick. You know what I mean? Pat Barry, I mean, obviously can get any kind of a lucky shot. I just think Daniel Cormier is way too experienced in a full game rather than just kickboxing and stuff like that because Barry's got a background in kickboxing and all that, so, I mean, I don't want to take too much away from the guy, but, I mean, his last 3-4 years haven't been that great, you know what I mean? Last 2-3 years, whatever, but... And I hope to see better, man. I'm a fan of the guy, so... Hopefully it's just a good fight, man, because like I said, I don't know nothing about Dion. I know Cormier's a motherfucking badass, so hopefully we'll see a good fight. Cool way to kick end the night off, basically, is the main card, basically. You got Lorenz Larkin taking on Luke Rockhold for a title. Which both guys I like, man. I don't see Larkin getting this. I just don't. I think Rockhold is just too crafty, too quick. No, I'm not saying Larkin's not quick, man. He's quick, but I just don't think. I could be surprised, man. He could surprise me. Who knows? But I see Rockhold making his way to UFC, doing pretty damn well. Same with Larkin too, though. Maybe he'll get a shot or two, in UFC, and if he doesn't stack up, maybe a Bellator be down the road for him or something. I think he'd do pretty well there too. Marquardt taking on Tarek Saffiedine. Been a big fan of Tarek Saffiedine all along. Nate Marquardt just outlasted Tyron Woodley. That was probably one of the coolest knockouts I've seen in a couple of years. Had him against the cage, a couple elbow shots. I mean, just picture perfect. You know what I mean? Picture perfect uppercut finish, and Tyron Woodley didn't know where he was, man. I mean, really, he had no clue. Tarek Saffiedine, though, nice karate background. Been a lot more into wrestling lately, you know what I mean, to widen his skill set. We could see a different Tarek Saffiedine come into this. I don't think he'll gas out, but I think Nate will probably, gas tank for gas tank. I think Nate would outlast him a little bit. You know what I mean? Tough to say, because they're both too athletic and they're both in great shape. You know what I mean? They always are. But it should be a damn good fight, man. I would pick Marquardt myself, though. But Gilbert Melendez taking on Pat Healy. And I gotta say right off the top, and I don't want to insult any fighter or anything like that. Don't take it that way. To me, it's a friggin' mismatch. I hope Pat Healy proves me wrong, and I hope it's a badass fight, man. I really do. Because he's a good, grizzled, strong fighter. Go in there, wrestle a guy, and strike with him, stand with him. I just think that's a bad circumstance altogether when you're taking on a guy like Gilbert Melendez. I thought Josh Thompson won the last fight with Gilbert Melendez. You know what I mean? If I watch it back, I watched it once. If I watch it back, maybe I could say, you know what, man, maybe I could make a little more of an argument for Melendez. But watching it once, the night of the fight, I thought Josh Thompson did what he had to do to win that fight. I don't see Pat Healy winning this fight. I see Pat Healy gassing out towards the end of the second and being slow as hell in the third. Like I said, I'm not trying to insult the guy. It's just there's got to be a high intensity, man. You got to keep it up for the entire fight. You know what I mean? Slowing down in the third, fourth, just gassed out. If it goes to fifth, well, a lot of you are probably thinking, "Geez, man, totally insulting Pat Healy." But I just don't think Pat Healy is ready for this shot. I don't think he's ready for a title shot. I think Pat Healy got this fight because there's nobody else to match him up with. That's what I think. And I think if they did have more time and they did have a better matchup, they would put that on instead. You know what I mean? I just don't see Pat Healy getting this shot if Strikeforce were to have another year. Still going to be a sweet night of fights. Could be pretty explosive because some of these matchups can be pretty weird. I can almost see across the board last 4 or 5 fights being solid knockouts. I could be wrong, but it could be one of them weird nights with Strikeforce. It's going to be a good night, man. There's more to come, too. So I'll probably do a future video on it before we get to January, or at least before the night of. But anyway, man, thanks for checking it out. Sub if you haven't, because if you don't, you're missing out. But, alright, man. Thanks, guys.